Thanks everybody for coming out today. We just turned in the last 100 signature here into Marion County. It's been quite the journey, to say the least, over the last 4 months. I think the volunteer base and the other activities that we've gathered all these signatures, the total that we're putting in is over 74,000. Over 74,000, just a little bit more than double the requirement. So we feel like we're pretty safe in that regard. I will tell you that you have to take one away from that, because last Saturday I signed, but somebody told me I had signed a few months ago. So two in Boone County there with my name. So we'll take one out of that. But it's over 74,000, and people worked really hard. This is, as I've been telling people, this is more like a movement than a candidacy. People are disillusioned. They're angry with what's going on, and they want a different choice. And I think in Indiana, we need more choices across the state. We need to do things a little bit differently so that those people that feel unrepresented across the state now have somebody to vote for. And that's what we're going to do. And I think we'll have Republicans voting for us, we'll have Democrats voting for us, and we'll have all those independents. That is the majority of people in Indiana coming our way. Now they have somebody to vote for, and I think that's very important.
Mr. Mayor, one of the things that the criticism has been Republicans saying Greg Ballard was Republican, he should have ran as a Republican, he probably have won. Why didn't you run as a Republican?
I thought we need voter choice, and I couldn't do that way, obviously. And I'm frank about this. I don't think I can't win a primary, I can't win a convention on the Republican side, but that wasn't why this happened. This happened because the independents, the rational, practical, problem-solving people aren't running for office anymore. That's a problem. And there was no lane for them. And now there is a lane for them. That's what we want to do. We want to create the lane for the people, the good people to run for office, and we wanted to create a lane for the voters who want to vote for that sort of practical, problem-solving people. That's why we did what we did.
When you look at the Secretary of State race, this race is going to be probably the most expensive race ever, maybe ever, in the Secretary of State race. Can you talk about competing with those dollars and kind of the more enhanced political nature to this office, especially in the wake of Diego's stuff?
That's a really interesting question. I'm always fascinated about the fact that the Secretary of State's race is usually not covered at all or very little, and now all of a sudden it is the race in the state of Indiana, and that's because people know what this means. When we explain why we're doing what we're doing, it follows. With the money, I'm sorry, everything goes back to 2007 when I ran for mayor. That's how I look at everything. I was outspent 20-1 there. I was dismissed early and late, and still pulled off that election, and then got reelected. So I'm quite comfortable where I am right now. People have been very generous to us. People who want the change that I just talked about, they want that to happen also. And I think we have a real shot. The early polling said this is a completely winnable race. It really is, and we'll be getting out there quite a bit. And I know people think I have no name ID outside of the central Indiana area, but that's not true. We were polling above 20% in every area of the state and in every demographic early on. So we have a nice little bit of information to proceed on. Not to mention, I was in our early polling, we were leading the 18 to 34 demographic, which I find fascinating, telling me that the young people are really disillusioned with what's happening right in front of them, and we have to speak to that. As a nation, we have to speak to that. And I like to think that in Indiana, this is the beginning of that right now.
Do you have a number of signatures that have been verified by the county so far?
We do, but it's not public, I'm sorry. So we kind of know what we have to do. I'd love to give that information, but I shouldn't.
So just to recap, today turning in 3,000 signatures?
No. 3,000. We turned in 3,000 plus yesterday. We turned in 6,000 plus today. So we've turned in almost 10,000 signatures in the last 2 days.
74,000 total?
74,000 total. Big numbers. And if you may remember 4 months ago when people said this cannot be done, of course the obstacle in the way was purposeful. The Republicans and the Democrats don't want anybody to jump over this obstacle. But I would suggest to you, we just did. We jumped over that obstacle, and we now provide opportunity for good, rational, problem-solving people to run for office here in the state of Indiana into the future. Not just this race, but into the future. The obstacle was huge and way past what other states require, well past what other states require. But we did it. We did it with a lot of help from a lot of people, a lot of generous people, a lot of hardworking volunteers. As you know, we had some signature gatherers also, and it all came together.
Mr. Mayor, once the race gets finalized and you're on the ballot, which I doubt if you won't make it on the ballot, if you come in like first or second place, that gives the Lincoln Party a seat on local election boards. Have you folks thought that far out yet?
Yes, we have, and that would be really exciting, and that would shake things up quite a bit throughout the state of Indiana, and they have to relook at how they're conducting business, because there's a huge group of people that are not represented in the state of Indiana. Both parties have moved far right, far left, and they're not representing the average citizen anymore. And now somebody's going to have to come in and actually represent them. And so what that means locally and statewide on boards and commissions, especially the election stuff, that's going to have to be sorted through. By the way, I'm looking forward to that.
You talked about, people know what this race means. For people that don't know what this race means.
Actually, this means that if we get 2% of the vote, we have party. We have a party. The Lincoln Party occurs at that point in time. If we get 10% of the vote plus, we have primary. We're on the primary ballot. Early polling had us at 23% in a three-way race within 10% of the leader. Wow. So this is completely doable. 2% opens up the path for others to follow over the next 4 years and hopefully past that. In every race in the state of Indiana. Every race. And that is something that people are not used to. They're not used to having an independent, somebody who will look at the job as public service and not as a stepping stone to something else. Somebody who actually wants to do the job, wants to serve the people. Too much, we're getting away from that. And I think that's what this does. This creates that lane. It creates an opportunity for people to vote for somebody who will represent them. That's not really happening at the level that it should be right now.
So with those 73,000 signatures, you expect to get on the ballot?
You tell me. That number is huge, double the requirement, and we think we're well positioned, especially putting in 3,000 plus yesterday and 6,000 plus today.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.